What makes you secretly go, yeah, good luck with that? People who tell me they're going to get their diploma from a known diploma mill and then immediately go on to work in an extremely competitive field against people with educations from accredited institutions. Yep, good luck with that. Currently 2/3 RDS of the way through getting my associates in electronics engineering. One of my classmates got royally fricked over by a tech. One of my teachers used to work for the same company. Both of them have an incredible amount of understandable hatred for such institutions. When people tell me how much their lives are about to improve after starting in a multi-level marketing company, finally, I am going to be my own boss. All I have to do is sign people up until I get a diamond nipple status. Then I can just relax and wait for my checks. No, it's not a scam. I am in charge of my own destiny. I only need to pay $250 because I have not signed up anyone below me yet. $250 is a drop in the bucket compared to what I will eventually make. Heck, if I get to the plutonium scrotum level, I even get a new BMW. Diamond nipple status. Snort. Kids saying they're going to drop out of high school because so and so made it big and they were a high school dropout. Yeah, that person is the rare exception. When kids say crap like Bill Gates dropped out, mother, he dropped out of Harvard, not some high school. I was watching a video about learning how to program. Some guy giving a talk. The Q&A portion of the talk opens up. Someone raises their hand and says, "How can I make Google?" Upon elaborating, they were going to settle for the number 2 spot behind Google as the world's second best search engine. People who post how they're going to have a drama-free year and goodbye to all the haters. It always ends with the same dramatic crap by the end of January, at best. People who use the terms drama and haters on Facebook aren't the kind of people who understand how to just relax in the first place. I'm from Canada but traveled abroad for a while. When people find out I'm from Canada, they almost always say, "Oh, I'm planning on moving to Vancouver for a bit." Vancouver? On a backpacker's budget? You're okay. Good luck with that. Pretty sure it's free spirits whose parents are CEOs of some company and borrow from them. Whenever someone tells me about their new legitimate business that I know sounds like a pyramid scheme but totally isn't. Yeah, have fun with your energy drinks. My friend is approaching the age where pregnancy comes with potential complications. She is determined to get babied up before that happens. She also barely has $1 to her name, so landing a supportive baby daddy is also pretty well implied. My friend only dates younger up and coming musicians and the occasional higher level drug dealer. Not saying it's impossible, but yeah, good luck with that. The occasional higher level drug dealer. Haha, from the annals of our what culture on. When my mom tells me about her latest health bunk, oh, water from a copper or brass pitcher is more stabilized than water from glass or plastic. It's better for your body's energies. Yeah mom, sure thing. Please just brew tea. A girl I knew announced on social media that her husband was cheating, then proclaimed 2 weeks later to have found the love of her life. Right. Love is not something you find, it's something you build. I'm a theater student, and whenever I hear someone who's graduating from theater, they're always talking about how they're gonna end up on Broadway. No, you're not. Except me, of course. I have to. Holy crap, yes. Out of my senior year, only 4 of the kids in theater are still acting. One is actually doing very well in LA. One flunked out of college and now does dinner theater. One is actually in NYC and has gotten into ensemble for 2 shows, and that's it. And I've been doing children's theater for the past 5 years. A guy who worked for a big heat and air company came to service my air conditioner one summer. He got talkative and mentioned he wanted to start his own company. The plan was to call it AC Medic and their trucks would be old ambulances. That sounds cool, man. Good luck. Less than a year later, I see a red ambulance with AC Medic on the side. I was stunned. And in the time since, the company seems to keep growing and expanding. I keep seeing the ambulances from time to time, and every time I think, I can't believe he actually did it. Way to go. There's pretty much always a demand for people who can do a skilled trade, especially if he's in an urban area or a big city with lots of attached suburbs. Sounds like he had a really good and well thought plan, and found a way to make it happen. This was a few years ago. Had an older, Long-time customer of mine boast about how he won a lottery from another country and that it was worth a lot of money. I asked him, "Did you enter such a lottery?" He said no. I said, "You do know those are scams, right? You are going to lose a lot trying to get that money." He wouldn't listen. Said he had the paperwork and everything to prove it. I could not dissuade him from the idea that having to wire money for red tape reasons was a clear red flag indicating a scam. I finally told him to at least be mindful of whom he boasted to. That in itself is a dangerous thing to do. Very shortly after that, he quit boasting about it to anyone. Hate that he found out the hard way. As a side note, there used to be a bank branch in the store I work at. I had a quiet conversation with one of the bankers there to the effect of being on the lookout for flags indicating this, as there seemed to be some scams floating around town. I didn't name names, but I was worried about the risks of our older customers being bilked out of their money. At the time, I didn't really know what else to do. Not too long before this happened, just a few months before, it's hard to remember, I had gotten such an envelope in the mail myself claiming that I had won a foreign lottery. I just threw it away at the time, but this guy's boasting made me remember that, so I guess I got pretty wary. I'm amazed that people fall for that, especially winning a lottery you didn't enter. Hope can be the worst human emotion. It makes people do the stupidest things. Hope for the best but prepare for the worst. Oncologist here. When I make a treatment recommendation and the patient or a family member says, "Well, we're worried about the toxic side effects of those drugs you're recommending, so we're going to be using dandelion root and an aggressive juicing regimen instead." Hey man, it's been a while since we spoke. Wanna get together for a couple of drink? Days later. So, how would you like to be your own boss? I already am. This meeting is over. My boss needs me to be somewhere else. Then you leave. People claiming they are going to create the next good company, anime, video game, etc. with no related skills or experience and or doubtful motivation. Let's start a Kickstarter and our donor rewards will cost more than was donated and no money left over to actually develop a game. Driving in Florida when it's raining. Can't wait to be stuck in a traffic jam because some idiot thought he could take a sharp corner in his minivan at 90 miles per hour on wet roads. I'm English. Drove on holiday to Orlando. It started peeing down on the way to the mall. Couldn't see anything and no one was slowing down. Terrifying as frick. Someone who has had 4 boyfriends girlfriends in the last 3 months getting a tattoo of their newest one because she is the one. Same thing with marriage. Their delusion is that getting that tattoo or getting married will somehow magically make the relationship perfect and unbreakable. Both acts are pretty difficult and costly to reverse. From an American public school teacher, about 90% of POF parents who decide school sucks for their kid and they're going to homeschool online school. If you and your kid didn't have the discipline to 30 minutes of reading a night or get your kid to school on time, imagine how much harder it will be when there's no bureaucracy breathing down your neck to get it done. Some parents really think it through and for good reasons create a homeschool online school environment for their kid that's better than what we can provide. Kids with anxiety or tag kids are good examples. But I've had parents quit public school because of a lice outbreak. Good luck with that. Hey, I have this app idea. It would be like popular app, but for other thing. I don't know any programming so I'll need someone to build it for me. And then if you do that, we can split ownership 50/50. I haven't checked the app store to see if 10 apps like this already exist, but it's going to be huge. Dude, since you can code, how about you build me my app idea and we'll be like Jobs and Woz. People who buy a used BMW 7 Series when they clearly can't afford repairs and have no idea what they have gotten into. Without fail the car disappears within a year. This car seems to attract people like this. That's why I'm gonna buy a used 8 Series. It's one better. I want to open a restaurant. Number. Just no. For 90+% of people, joining an MLM is a better financial decision than opening a restaurant. Similarly, if you enjoy scuba diving wanting to become a dive instructor or open a dive shop, 90% of running a small business is running a small business. The other 10% is the domain knowledge. Friend of mine is making a business in an incredibly oversaturated market for goods that typically sell for $3. He wants to make luxury versions of the same thing that sell for $90. Yeah, good luck with that. Was discussing some relationship woes with a friend, and at one point he said, when I get a girl, I'm not gonna take any crap from her. I'm the man here. Well, true to his word, and to the best of my knowledge, he's still single. Met a freshman who told me she wanted to drop out of college to move in with her 26-year-old fiance. Apparently he has a job, so she doesn't think she needs college. My sister-in-law got a real estate license, worked for another agent for 6 months and quit. She now thinks she has enough experience and knowledge to start her own firm. I know a woman who has owned at least 2 of her own businesses, upholstery and an arts and crafts store, and went back for her real estate license about 10 years ago. She is one of the most boisterous, ambitious, outgoing, well-networked, and knowledgeable in her field people I know, and even she is sticking with FC Tucker. My stepdaughter's boyfriend is convinced he is going to be a professional gamer. He is 19 and they have 2 kids together. His team has never had a serious tournament win, and instead of spending time with his kids, he plays Call of Duty while she works. Well, his first problem is he's doing it with COD. Not exactly a huge esport there. I work in private security. Anytime something serious happens where someone's actually a physical threat, like a dude with a gun or a tweaker on crack swinging a machete, it never fails that someone wants to be the hero. Our job is not to be the hero. You hear about guards from time to time stopping said bad guy before police arrive, but they got extremely lucky. Been in this field now for over 5 years and most of the time they do not get lucky at all. Usually they wind up seriously injured or dead. That being said, just call the cops. That's what they pay us for. If you think I am gonna risk not being able to return home to my wife for a $10 an hour job, yeah, I've got another thing coming. Unless said criminal is directly in front of you attacking you, leave that crap alone and get the frick away to a safe distance. IDC what you've been trained in. Friend of mine is well known for having the next big way to make lots of money. He's been basically unemployed and living off his elderly grandmother's social security for years. Dragged his kid down to the poorhouse with him. Every time he tries to involve me in one of these crap shows, I just say, no thanks. I've actually got a career already. When people get 2 puppies at once or get a really difficult, large breed of dog and expect it will just behave well because they love them, and never ever freaking take the time to properly train them and then try and tell you that they know all about dogs because their parents raised dog breed here when they were kids. When people say they will overcome an addiction just by being sober, sobriety and recovery are 2 different things. Being sober is the first step to recovery. Recovery is achieved by creating a new life where it's easier not to use. If they fail to create a new life, then all the factors that brought them to their addiction will catch up again sooner or later. I am watching a friend go through this very thing. She clings to the things that push her toward drinking, and every time she stays sober, she can't begin the recovery part because of all the other crap she cannot or will not work toward changing. When my friends are about to have their first child and try to tell me, I have 2 kids, or anyone else who has a child, how their child will never watch TV, eat only veggies, and be perfect in public at all times. Yeah, good luck with that. When I was a child, we had neighbor friends who swore their kids wouldn't watch TV. They were right. They sold their television and became a books-only family that went to the movie theater once every week or 2. It gave them a completely different childhood from the other kids in the neighborhood, but they grew up to be very eloquent and quick thinking. When my friend tells me he's going to email the professor to try and get his paper grade raised from a B to an A, that's not happening. People who are making the next great killer app, they will need the luck, and lots more besides. Especially if they want someone else to do the work, while they sit back and be the ideas guy. When people say they are going to sue some really big company like McDonald's or Walmart for some really dumb or petty reason, like bad customer service. When I worked in customer service, as soon as a caller mentioned suing, I would just end the call by saying, since you have now threatened legal action, all future communications must go through our legal department. I can no longer assist you. Never got written up for it because it was the company policy, just not often enforced unless there was an actual lawsuit filed. Me. I'm going to tone up my butt and thighs this year. Also me. To myself. Yeah, good luck with that. Years later. My butt still looks like a half deflated dodgeball. My butt still looks like a half deflated inflated dodgeball. Go to be optimistic. Not really anything now, but it used to be when my peers would voluntarily drop everything to live out of their car and in odd jobs. No ties to anything permanent. Then I saw that they were all doing well, were happy, and ended up with good jobs once they settled. And I realized I was actually pretty jealous, as I always had too much responsibility to even think about that kind of adventure. Oh, the youth of our early and mid-20s. And learning humility. It depends. Most of the people who did that in my circle, primarily to go be ski bums, are now fricked trying to get similar jobs as everyone who went to work. There's definitely a cost, though that cost can be completely mitigated with preparation. CS majors that say they're going to work at Google and make $200k a year when minutes before they were trying to copy answers off of you. There's a surprising number of these people. I have no intention of programming, computer sciencing, let alone working at some hotshot tech company, but I do all the homework and have CS related side projects. My brother is one of them. It's sadly predictable that at the end of the first year half the CS majors change majors. Just because you like playing video games doesn't mean CS is for you. I write estimates for auto collision repair. When people tell me that my prices are outrageous and they, or a mechanic friend, can do it in their garage for a quarter of the price with a spray can. A spray can. Why didn't think of that? Really no need for the special booth and spray equipment I haven't have spent a fortune on. I should have just used some Rust-Oleum. When someone gets engaged after dating for a few months. In the time I've been single, I've seen couples who are friends of friends etc. meet, get married, and start the divorce process. Knew my wife 1 month when I proposed. Got married 6 months later. Celebrated 40th anniversary this year. However, we realize we are the exception and don't recommend this to others. Listening to distant relatives describe how they are going to sue their builder. I've got multiple sets of relatives that move houses as a hobby. Inevitably they either run into a builder that screws them somehow, the market tanks. Dudes, this is not HGTV. There is not going to be a happy moment where a nice white lady decorates your house for you as a surprise. Your surprise is going to be something else. Surprise. Your property floods with salt water. Surprise. Your house has become worth less than you paid for it overnight. Your sweat equity is now valueless. Surprise. Your sewage tank is made out of a refrigerator box. Buying a home is a complex transaction and maintaining it is hard work. You might also want to know a little bit about construction. I'm gonna move to Japan and teach English. I've learned a lot of Japanese from the shows I watch, so I think I'm pretty prepared. He ended up not doing that, got over that phase and is now a successful cook. The 30+ people I know my age that don't have a job, but have a 3-person band that plays at coffee shops that will eventually make it big and be worth millions. I'm writing a fantasy novel. Proceeds to tell all about the world they've constructed and such. Then I ask, so what actually happens? Oh, I haven't got round to that yet. As just a fun hobby, there is nothing wrong with making worlds. Thinking you'll be ever to turn it into money, well, that's very unlikely. When I was working a call center as third shift supervisor, I'd get calls for someone insisting on speaking with a male supervisor. Good luck with that. I was the only sup for the next 8 hours. And when folks did get in, my boss was female and her manager was female, and not that a customer would ever speak to them, but our director and VP were female. We had one male supervisor at the time and he was out for a month on paternity leave. This is just the most poetic thing I've ever heard. I do some freelance graphic design for hobby game companies, board games, card games, RPGs, etc. Anytime someone has the next great CCG idea and wants to split the profits after the game becomes successful, no. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.